Welcome back to another episode of Scenic Fights, Fight Scene Breakdown. I'm Logan Lowe, and I'm a Pekiti Tirsia instructor at Paxibellum Martial Arts.
And I'm Pak, a Judo black belt and coach at Paxibellum Martial Arts.
Today we'll be breaking down the knife shop scene from John Wick Chapter 3. And we have the fastest knife thrower in the world, the great Throwdini, to show us how valid, or not, John Wick's knife throwing skills are. Are you ready?
Let's get it.
They're noticing they're in a knife shop. Lots of knives.
How convenient.
Right. Oh, and here we go. Nice pass.
Right in the butt.
Right in the butt. Oh my God. We have to stop this. You see in most knife scenes, when they come, the guy just tries to fight and force it through. In this scene, John Wick comes in, gets the obstruction out of the way, and continues the fight. I love that. We'll talk more about that later. Does a backhanded throw. Nice. Good reversal.
Flying sidekick. Oh, right at his nuts.
But he missed. Thank God.
There would be no John Wick 4.
John Wick is just throwing those wild knives.
This is pretty funny.
It is. This is awesome. I don't throw my knives, but if I did, I'd want to John Wick it.
He's a ninja.
He is a ninja.
A Superman knife stab.
Oh, this dude's just getting stabbed by his buddy.
Beautiful Nidan Kosotogari. Here you see John Wick hitting an Osotogari to a Nidan Kosotogari. Now in movies, we rarely see judo moves done in succession. A lot of times we often see judo throws being like one big massive throw.
Right.
This was a great demonstration of using combinations.
So it's realistic.
Oh, very realistic. Cool. Oh my God, he's not getting up from that nut shot.
Oh my God. I would not want that to happen to me. John Wick is going to town with these knives. There's more knife action.
One after another, right in the forehead.
He's got aggression. Look at that, bam. He's just going for it right in the forehead.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, that guy's not getting up.
Oh, look, that's Tiger Chen.
Did a nice disarm there. And hatchet action, or tomahawks. Wow, look at these guys go. Now, this is good. Not a lot of blocking, but a lot of passing and striking. I like that. Arm break. And bam, we have another arm break. But it looks like their arms are okay somehow.
He got thrown with a bitch slap.
Wait, is that a legitimate judo throw?
Yeah, I'll call it a bitch slap Tatoshi.
Of course you would.
It looked like an iron palm push from Tiger Chen.
A pass, throwing Tiger right into the case.
Beautiful Osotogari right there.
Oh man, let's talk about that. In our very first John Wick video, I talked about how if anyone throws anything at me, a kick, a punch, I'm slicing that. I'm making mincemeat out of that. Awesome.
Maybe you watched your breakdown.
Maybe he did. Okay, nice break.
How many times does an arm break?
Apparently a lot. Oh, he needs an Excedrin for that. Throws him into the case. Okay, we have another standoff here. Again, he could have just passed it, right? As he did initially, but he doesn't because you want to build up the tension. I can't watch this.
Oh God. Oh, Jesus Christ, not the eye. You gotta think about how dramatic and nerve-wracking it is knowing you're about to die by eye stab.
Yeah, that's not a good way to go.
Sorry, Tiger. All right, he's done. He's walking
All
away.
right.
Unfinished business, though.
Roger will get up. Roger, get up. And no.
Ooh.
He's not getting up.
Nah.
So now we're gonna demonstrate and grade how realistic and accurate the knife and judo work was. Now remember, this grade is only for that. In terms of entertainment, this was pretty dope. What do you think?
It was very fun to watch. I absolutely agree.
And remember kids, don't do this at home. If ever confronted with a knife, run. Pak, you ready for this?
Let's get it.
The first thing I wanna talk about between Roger Yuan and John Wick is the karate chop that John Wick does for the backhand number 2. He does this. Notice that it's a karate chop rather than a hard block. Why is that? The reason why is because in Kali, we always assume that we have a weapon. So here, as we do the karate chop, I'm really doing what's called a capture and a cutout. So we actually see that happen in the following scene. So if he follows up with the number 2, here's my capture and cutout, which is the karate chop. I come in now, here, notice that in our many other films, I say I hate when the guy tries to force the weapon through. It's not gonna work. Pak is much stronger than me. He's never gonna let me go. However, I can capture and cut out. Why? Because he's pushing out anyways. He wants to push out, I let him push out, and then I would follow up immediately with a backhand to the throat. However, John Wick notices, because he's John Wick, another assailant coming. So instead he redirects and throws his weapon towards that assailant, which is highly unlikely, but he is John Wick. So in this very next scene, John Wick does a reversal on Roger. Roger comes in with the backhand number 2, stopped by John Wick. And then he pastes the assailant's weapon hand to his hip. I like that because you don't want a weapon hand floating around and twisting around. That's a nice little detail. Then John Wick bent the arm, twisted it, and plunged it into Roger, finishing the fight. That is orthodox, very standard Kali work. I love it. Okay, and with this very next scene is passing and blending versus blocking, which is he passes the weapon and he blends with that force to come in with his own force. Why do I like that over a block? I'm a smaller person, and generally I don't want to be overwhelmed with an attack. There's always a chance that if you do a block, you're overwhelmed and the weapon proceeds. Whereas with a pass, the danger is getting out of the arc of the attack. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to walk into the arc of the attack. I want to pass and blend the opponent's force away from me as I launch my own attack. Note that for the first guy, he does a pass and blend, attacking to the head. And then for the second guy, he does a pass and blend, attacking for the throat. I personally would prefer the latter because then I can attack soft body targets, less chance of me breaking something on me. Regardless, great Kali fighting by John Wick. So for this next scene, you can really tell that John Wick has had some serious Kali training. Here, there's another number 2 attack, which is stopped by John Wick. John Wick then launches what looks to be a kidney shot, then comes around and does an arm break here. Am I gonna break it? Ideally, that's what I want. I think Chad would disagree with me because again, the person can walk around. But what we want is we want the shock of it to at least wrench it so that that arm sustains damage. That damage accumulates. And that's really what all fighting is, right? You want to sustain as little damage to yourself as possible and maximize the damage to the other person, whether it be incremental or exponential.
Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the creative judo in this sequence. Here.
Wait, I got 2.5 million views on my John Wick video. You're not throwing me. Throw Chad. Chad.
Now that the real star is here, I got this. After you.
Thanks, Chad. I was actually afraid of breaking Logan.
Good thing is, I'm unbreakable, baby.
Let's get it. In this scene, John Wick hits a beautiful Osorogari to a Nidan Kosorogari. They're tied up. John Wick just blocked a strike, enters with an Osorogari, kicks the leg, but doesn't really get the throw like he thought he would. So he follows up with what's called a Nidan Kosorogari by kicking out that base leg. This is a beautiful example of chaining your attacks. The likelihood of using one single attack and it working all the time is very low. So what you want to do is start an attack and follow up with several other attacks until you get the result of throwing your opponent. Now, let's see that in full speed. That's how you do Osorogari to Nidan Kosorogari. In this scene, you can see John Wick smacking his opponent and throwing him to the ground. Now, it's hard to tell which throw he actually executed because the lower extremities are cut off in the footage. However, I'm gonna use my best guess from observing how the opponent fell by assuming that John Wick executed a Tayatoshi. To execute this throw, I wanna first have wrist control here, and normally I would slap my opponent, but because Chad's not Logan, I'm gonna just firmly place my hand against his neck, do my back step, 1, 2, extend my leg here, make sure your heels are up, and to throw, I'm gonna pull this arm, push against the neck, and extend my leg. Now, let's see that in full speed. In this scene, John Wick blocks a kick from Tiger Chen, and he goes into what I like to call a hopping or skip Osorogari. Now, what we normally do in a Osorogari, we're tied up, we have upper body control, I'm pulling him and I step in for that throw. Here, John Wick and Tiger Chen are in kicking range. Tiger Chen kicks, John Wick blocks and snaps it down to the floor, forcing Tiger Chen in a bladed stance. And what John Wick does is he covers that distance by skipping right into this configuration, throwing him with the Osorogari. Now, let's see that in full speed. And now, to go over John Wick's knife throwing skills, we have the world's most fastest, most accurate knife thrower in the world with 44 records, a world champion in knife and tomahawk throwing. I throw people, he throws knives. We got the great Throwdini. Let's get it.
Hey, Clark, nice to meet you. Excuse me, over here. Logan, let's throw some knives, man.
So, Throwdini, can John Wick actually throw as fast as he threw?
No,
Okay.
but there's good news. How he threw is 100% correct.
I see sometimes people throw kind of like that, and it's just a straight shot, and other times there's like a twirl action. Is there a difference between those two?
My style, which is a circus style, end over end.
And over end. The
There
twirling
is,
kind.
yeah, the knife is actually spinning in the air. The other style would be like a no spin, in which index finger is on the knife, and when it's thrown, the finger stops it from spinning and it goes straight.
I see.
And the other way would be like a forced half spin like this, where the hand slows the knife out and makes it just take a half turn at any distance.
Is it a preference type of thing, or is there some benefit to one over the other?
I think circus style end over end is the most accurate of a spin style.
Yeah, you don't want to give your insurance manager a heart attack. I get it. So one other thing I noticed was that I saw, and I've never seen this before, I saw John Wick throw it as an ice pick grip, which is like the reverse grip. Is that
Right, so
possible?
I would say it's extremely unlikely. It's not that somebody's going to come along and say, hey, I can do it. Maybe you can. But in 26 years of throwing, I've never thrown it that way, and I've never seen anybody else throw it that way.
Well, you are the great Throwdini, so I'll take your word for it.
Thank you.
Can you show the audience and myself how to throw like John Wick?
No problem. You grab it by the blade like so. Just bring it behind me, almost like I'm tapping my shoulder, and then out and down with my arm.
Do you break your wrist when you go?
Nope, the wrist stays solid,
Okay.
and the knife just leaves my hand as I come down to the bottom of the board.
Do you mean to have your throwing arm side back?
For me, it's comfortable to put my opposite foot in the front,
Okay.
and then I turn my body into the throw a little bit so I get the mechanics of my body into that knife as well.
Okay, now how many times have you actually hit a person when you didn't want to hit a person?
We don't talk about that since the accident.
Gotcha. Let's do it.
And that's how a knife is supposed to stick.
So, Throwdini, you just threw that. Are you happy with this?
I'm very happy with it.
Okay.
That's the way it should stick. Knife is horizontal to the ground, and that the axis this way, vertical, is perfectly straight up and down with the board. I was throwing that half spin from 7 feet away. If this were being thrown to stick into someone, you would want that knife to always get there point first. Down like this is just gonna hit and fall. Over like this is just gonna rotate and drop back down.
Throwdini, those were a lot of knives and axes being thrown. Was there a particular scene that you really liked?
I particularly like that ending scene when he throws a tomahawk. Slightly different than this. This tomahawk has 12-inch handle.
Okay.
So I would throw it like this.
Right.
But the one they used in that scene had a very long handle. So John Wick didn't throw it this way. He had both hands on, brought it back over his head,
Right.
and then threw it that way.
Okay.
Released, spins through the air, and gets to its target exactly like that. It was perfect.
So you feel that Keanu Reeves, he was taught correctly?
Nailed it. Perfect.
If you guys want to find out more about Throwdini, visit his website, knifethrower.com. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you, Logan. Thanks for having me.
What a fantastic fight scene. Action-packed, high-paced, chaotic in the best ways possible. Shout out to the choreographers. They really nailed down the complex sequences in both judo and kali.
Absolutely. And if there is any critique we'd give it, it comes from Throwdini and how the knife throwing wasn't completely accurate. So in light of all this, I think a fair grade would be, what do you think, like an A-?
Absolutely. This scene gets an A-.